Changing your domain, especially in this industry, is not an easy task. You know, firstly, you need to understand where you exactly want to go. And I think a lot of my friends too told me that that's the most difficult task, to decide what you actually want to do. Because once you switch, you cannot go back. Work starts to be fun when you just stop viewing it as a 9 to 5 job.
Correct.
When you're actually interested in what you do, you don't look at the clock. Because I remember looking at the clock before, and I'm like, okay, when is it going to be 5? When is it going to be 6? When can I go home? But
Mhm.
right now, when I'm actually doing the thing that I love, I don't really have to look at the time, because it's something that interests me. It's something that has my whole attention.
Welcome back to my channel, The Sarthak Show, where we discuss about tech, career, product, and life. And today we have a very special guest with us, 𝐏𝐚𝐲. She's working as a lead at 𝐏𝐿𝐻, and we will know how she made this transition to from software development industry to this industry. What is she currently working on? What are the things that she like about her life, and what are the things that you can get from her life story and journey and learn from her. So yeah, thank you so much, 𝐏𝐚𝐲, for joining in for this podcast and agreeing to come on this part. Can you share about little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me here, Sarthak. It's really a great opportunity to share something about my journey. Well, yeah, like you mentioned, the transition from being into software into project management has been a great journey for me. Since I was an iOS application developer for around 4 years, and I have developed, I think, more than 10 applications. The complete process of the SDLC process, that we call it, research, gathering requirements, and design, development, and your testing and maintenance, all of it. So it was really a good experience. And also the fact that I worked at the startups. I think startups are a great place for you to learn, because you have so much to do, and you have so many responsibilities. And I think during that time I realized that just coding wasn't something that I wanted to do. I was interested in the whole process. I wanted to lead, I wanted to manage everything, and that is what I was actually doing for 4 years. And I think that is when I found the perfect course which had a blend of IT and also project management, that is management information systems. And one of the best universities was University at Buffalo. And
Mhm.
I think that's what helped me make that transition from IT into project management.
Oh, great! I think that's a phenomenal story where you could find that sweet spot of an IT and project management. I would want to know like what was the journey since you made this transition. How difficult was the transition? What are the things that was involved in that transition?
Well, I think changing your domain, especially in this industry, is not an easy task. Firstly, you need to understand where you exactly want to go, and I think a lot of my friends too told me that that's the most difficult task, to decide what you actually want to do. Because once you switch, you cannot go back.
Correct.
And I think throughout my 4 years of career in India, I kind of figured out what I actually wanted to do. And a lot of research, I think a lot of personal research is very important to understand what actually lies, where your interest lies. And that is what I did. And I found out through various articles and internet, and a lot of people, I spoke to a lot of people, I interacted with them. And that's when I actually knew that this course would help me provide the foundation for project management, and also add on to my career in IT, because I didn't want to leave that too, because 4 years of work and everything, I knew that that was my strong point. So to add to that, I added project management, masters in project management,
Mhm.
and which is why I landed on this role right now. I'm a project lead in a healthcare company, where I am able to use both my skills, the project management skills as well as my IT skills. And I think I am in the place where I want to be.
Yeah, I think that's the best part where, and I wish everyone could follow that one thing that they like about and be at that position because when you love the thing that you are working on, it's a different level of energy that you don't feel
Yeah,
that exhausted, you don't feel demotivated or something like frustrated with that
exactly.
part. Apart from this like normal work frustration, I would think the whole work is something which you look forward to and you keep on growing, and that is the main part of your journey that you want ever want to grow.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
To add to that point, I'd also like to say that, work starts to be fun when you just stop viewing it as a 9 to 5 job.
correct.
When you're actually interested in what you do, you don't look at the clock, because I remember looking at the clock before and I'm like, okay, when is it going to be 5? When is it going to be 6? When can I go home? But
Mhm,
right now, when I'm actually doing the thing that I love, I don't really have to look at the time, because it's something that interests me. It's something that has my whole attention. So
mhm.
I think that place is something that everybody needs to aspire to be in. And that is when you're actually content with whatever you do, and you can make progress.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the most thing that I would look forward to is working in that direction where I would not want to check what's the time or where could I leave
Yeah.
this. It's more about how I want to contribute more and more, how I can work on this more and more. Because it's often that I have been sleeping and then I am thinking about what next I could do in this product or something that I could change and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Like keeping that variables aside, like in the company or the client or the other factors, but I think the work that I do is definitely the enjoyable part. And uh,
absolutely.
yeah, so moving forward, the next question would be, how does this work? Like when what is a typical experience as an interview for this person who is moving from this direction to that towards the project management field? What kind of questions are asked? What is an interview like?
you know to be honest, I think in all industries, an interviewer is someone who actually looks for potential in a candidate. And I can say this because I have also taken a lot of interviews, like, throughout my career. And one thing that the interviewer wants is to see if the candidate is eager to learn, because every company will provide you the right amount of training that is required for the job or the project or whatsoever.
Mhm,
But we need to know if the candidate actually knows the basic information of whatever the role is in. The candidate is interested to learn more, is eager to learn more, and can adjust to that particular project routine or the office routine. And for project management, I think the first thing I did was to read about a lot of things in project management, adding to what I learned from my masters. I did more research. I read about the articles, and I also found the things that I could do on my own, which could contribute to my profile, like
mhm,
certifications. I think there are so many certifications like CSPO, project management certifications, where you can actually learn what project management is all about. And trust me, adding it to your resume and having that edge over your other other candidates profile always adds on to your profile, and it always helps you stand out. And the certifications aren't just to add to the resume, but they're also to make you understand about the scenarios and situations that can arise and how you can react to them. And that's what I did. I prepared. I went through different articles online. I did certifications. I spoke to a lot of project managers, because obviously their experience counts a lot. So
mhm.
doing all of that, I acquired the information that would require me to give an interview. And also, I'd like to say one thing, that your first interview is never going to be easy. Okay,
Right.
you are going to mess up, and you should never feel demotivated. I remember having my first two interviews. I felt like I don't know anything, even though I
Mhm.
had certifications, I had everything. You to grow that confidence. So what I suggest is give as many interviews as you can, even if you don't want to join the company or you don't want that particular role or that domain. It's okay, but it will help you build your confidence. It will give you that it will teach you a lot of things about how to communicate, about how to answer. And I think practice makes man perfect. Yeah, that's the classic saying.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. And there's no two way about it. I do feel that I have certainly felt that whenever I give more interviews, I get to learn more about myself, where I stand, and what are the learnings that I could do, what are the things that I can improve upon. If some way I get selected in that company or in that position, I think that's a confidence booster in itself. If not,
Absolutely.
then in that interview itself, I'm going to unlock some part of my brain, definitely. There's never been an interview where I have not learned anything. I have learned so much about someone else's company, about my interviews, things, what I could improve upon. And definitely, I would definitely recommend if anybody is out there to give more and more interviews.
Interviews.
Yeah, as I was mentioning that this is something that everybody can try on, and it's too difficult to enter into this industry without a lot of experience. And usually, at least for me, it was true that I have failed a lot of initial interviews, but that led to the path where I could crack interviews like a domino effect. So, and for the audience listening in, I think one of the things that I would recommend is if you have that experience, that's good. If you don't, you can acquire new skills with Newton School, which is the sponsor for this video, where you can check out their full stack development course, where they teach you about a full stack development from scratch, and they don't charge you anything upfront. You don't have to pay any fees without getting any job offer. So yeah, check that out, link in the description box below. And moving forward, yeah, Megha, so I think a lot of people have that kind of, I think, misconception or lack of understanding what is this role about, or what's a typical day for a project manager looks like, what are the activities they do.
Yeah, it's fun, because being a project lead, definitely your responsibilities increase, but you have a team of your own, you have a designated team of your own. You get to view things on a higher level, because when we are at our junior roles, we only look at our problems on a specific perspective, like okay, I have to finish this part of code today, I have to finish that part of the code today, and that's it. But when you're a project lead, you have bigger responsibilities. You have responsibility of the entire project, the delivery, the clients. All of these things come into picture because you know that it's not just about that part of the project, but the entire delivery of the project and the efficiency as well. So you need to look over the efficiency of the kind of strategy that is being followed, the kind of things that are being done. And as a project lead, I think I have transitioned into understanding that it's not just about reaching the goal, it's not just about providing what has been asked by the client, but it's also about improving your technology, improving your team, improving your methodologies, everything. And all of that, kind of makes the project even better, and also improves the learning capacity of the entire team. So I think along with the responsibilities that we have, this is also an additional component that a project lead has to take care of.
Correct. I think makes sense. I think it's a very important role in itself to keep a check and also understand what are the requirements of clients and how you can push your team to meet those requirements, and on the same way maintain that healthy bridge between those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think makes sense. It's a very good profile, and all the people who are looking forward to it, please sure feel free to apply for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And also, one more point I'd like to mention that, we know that whenever you're working on a project, 100 things can go wrong,
Correct.
right? It's never going to be a smooth journey. It's even if you have, backup plans, there's always going to be something that, can not work. For example, there are so many times when we have, workspaces crashing, when we have things not working, or, global outage. So things like that, you need to be prepared, and a project leader is someone who is answerable to all of those situations. And a
Mhm.
project lead needs to be two steps ahead to understand what can be done to even avoid certain situations like that, or even have a plan ready to work when things don't go well. So
Mhm.
that is also one thing that a project lead needs to be on the foot all the time to understand what can be done in stressful situations too.
Yeah, a very interesting thing. I think for the team to work, project lead is more like a brain for them to guide the right way, to think ahead of it time, and what are the edge cases that could come up, and how to manage those edge cases. So something like that. So anyway, who is looking forward to something like uh, profile where you can run your horses and work in that direction, where you can think two steps ahead of what the problem lies, and think of multiple solutions, multiple scenarios. I think it makes sense. But
Absolutely.
what are the other things that one could align themselves with if they feel that this is the position they feel more relevant, or this is something they would want to? What are things that makes more aligned to the person?
I think to be a great project manager, you need to have a vision that is outside the scope of your project.
Mhm.
Um, because if your vision is only attributed to your project, then you're only going to get the work done.
Mhm.
There's not going to be a lot of achievements in that area, because I've had really great project managers that I've worked with, and I have seen the way that they work. They don't really, just look at the project in terms of a project. They also understand that there is a lot more involved there, because when you care about your project, when you care about the company and your employees, you understand that it's not just about the delivery. Like I said, you need to understand that there are thousands of things that need to be done, like goal assessment. As a project lead, I've started doing goal assessment, due to which I talk to everybody in my team and I understand what goals they are trying to achieve for the next year. So I help them with that. I ask them, okay, what are the goals? You want to learn new things, you want new trainings, you need new certifications. And everything that my team does is always going to contribute back to my project you know
Mhm.
and that's what people need to understand, that each and everything that you do in your project, for your team, for your company, is always going to reflect back.
Yeah.
And which is why I think a lot of my projects have been associated by the client as one of the most successful projects and one of the most successful teams that they worked with, because
Mhm.
we are always trying to provide excellence more than what is expected.
Mhm.
So even if someday maybe you're not, it's at subpar or it's at average, you know that you have at least done what is required. If
Correct.
you aim for excellence, so I think there's a saying, aim for the moon, you might reach the stars. It's just like that. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And definitely, I believe that sky's the limit. So you have to be moving
I
upward
love
and
it.
upward. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's very well laid out. Like, what are the things that one could do to become a great project manager? But something who is at very nascent stage, I think, in the beginning of their career, and they are looking to apply at some company for this position. What should they definitely keep in mind for the interview process?
Well, firstly, I suggest them to start, giving certifications.
Mhm.
Start, giving as many certifications as you can. It's not just about adding to your resume. Like I said, it's about for you to learn, because all
Mhm.
your interviewers are going to ask you questions related to that thing. So
Okay.
when you have done the certifications, you know what are the questions that they're going to ask you.
Mhm.
Like for example, different strategies or different ways of doing things, or how a project is managed, what are the platforms that we use, like Jira platform, etc., etc. So all of this information you can get through certifications. I suggest them to start giving certifications, try to understand in depth what project management is all about,
Mhm.
read about scenarios, what so interviewers also have ask specific questions apart from just the question and answer type questions. They ask you certain scenarios. For example, if this happens, behavioral questions, basically they're very important for behavioral questions are very important for project management, because like I said, project management has that responsibility apart from technicalities. So
Mhm.
you're going to have questions like, what would you do in the scenario A? What would you do in scenario B? So when you put yourself in that place, it's okay if you don't have the answer. You can look on the internet and you can project yourself to be in that place, and have two three solutions. And when you understand what you actually have to do, and when you picture it in your head, I think that is when you will be able to answer to the interviewer as well, and make them understand that yes, you are ready to handle any kind of stressful scenario, any kind of situation that your project will require. Because trust me, as a project manager, as a project lead, you will be given a lot of scenarios and they will be very stressful, and making the right decision will impact the entire project.
Right. I definitely agree. I do agree that the impact that you are going to create and how it is going to be very worthful, and how the things that you have done could be your way to like crack that interview and everything. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, moving forward towards the last question of this podcast, I think what are the some resources or something that you would definitely recommend for the preparation part? Everything that a person could look forward to learn more about this field, grow in their career to become maybe a senior project manager or something like that. Yeah.
Well, if you are if I talk from my perspective, when I was a software developer, then definitely I would suggest going for a master's course.
Mhm.
Because that would definitely give you a kind of weightage, because you would actually learn all the subjects, you would learn everything from scratch. And apart from that, if you are already in the stream and if you're trying to go forward into the loop, or uh, you know um, go ahead into the same field, then I would suggest never stop learning, never stop learning. And honestly, the internet is full of resources, and I don't really think I need to mention a website, because there are so many websites, and YouTube is like, the hub for all kinds of knowledge, and your podcast too. I mean, come on, like,
Yeah.
so you have so much of content, you have so much of information, and trust me, when I was interviewing, I saw that there were specific videos of interviews in all companies
Mm-hmm.
for every role.
Yeah.
So you could actually see live interviews happening and keeping yourself in your place. And I think having that kind of information in 2022 is so helpful, because I cannot imagine how we would do without internet 20 or 30 years back, 30, 40 years back. So there is a lot of information. I suggest use YouTube, look for the videos. Also, I think there is Glassdoor and other websites where you can get people who have interviewed, even mentioning the questions and the answers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, for coding and everything, you have Lead Code, of course. I think we all are aware of that. But you can definitely check out Glassdoor. You can check out YouTube and other resources. I think we have a lot of articles on the internet as well, for you to prepare for this interview. And also make sure that, also one thing I would like to advise to everybody would be that whenever I had an interview, I would frame a question, go in front of the mirror, ask myself the question, and answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because trust me, when you talk to yourself, and when you put yourself in that place, and when you say it out loud, that is when you know what are the sentences you need to add, what are the things you can make better. It's not about rehearsing, it's just you're making yourself prepared, for that particular moment. And that is something that I would suggest all the viewers to do, is, because take your own interview, ask yourself all the questions. Keep it, you can be brutal as much as you want, because it's just you, it's always going to help you.
Yeah.
Read the articles, do certifications, because they're always going to help you out. Talk to people. I have always spoken to a lot of project managers. I've gained their experience about
Mm-hmm.
understanding, because one thing I'd like to mention is those behavioral questions. Sometimes you might not have the answer. Sometimes you might not have that scenario in your work experience, so you don't know what to say. So
Mm-hmm.
during that time, when you get these answers from articles, or when you kind of talk to people, you can gain the experiences and answer what you could do in that scenario.
Right.
So, you just need to answer. You should never be quiet. That is one thing that is very important. When you're asked a question, even if you don't know, just say whatever you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just be confident. And I think that will work. Like, you will ace the interview for sure.
Yeah, I think that is so true. I definitely agree that if there is something that I have been not like I have not come across in that scenario situation, but if I have listened to a story, what my senior or my mentor did in that situation, or what my friend did in that situation, I can definitely relate to it. And even
Absolutely.
though I would not come that across in my future as well, but that could be a potential answer for an interview, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense to reach out to more people, learn from their stories, and also meanwhile practicing from the largest. I think one of the
Yeah.
best um places YouTube, because you can listen and search for everything. There are articles, there are videos, there are lectures, there are series that are present for free to learn a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Even if I have to say, most of my learning has come from YouTube itself. So
Yeah.
yeah, and definitely I think one could, if one has that zeal to find the right content and right direction, they would
You will
find
get
that.
it.
Yeah, and it's not that that something that work for you, Megha, might not work for the other person. That's why it's something that you should always try and look for to more content, more as in resources. It's not like couple of these three websites and you are done for the day.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a fourth one that works better for you, or maybe there's a fifth person that is more relatable to you. So yeah, look out for every content. Yeah. Yeah, with this we come to the end of this podcast. I thank you so much, Megha, for sharing all of this information. I think
Thank you for having me.
yeah, definitely, and this is going to be super helpful for the audience out there. It genuinely helped me a lot to learn about how a project lead could work and how to make that transition from software development industry towards this direction. And yeah, I recommend everyone who is trying to move in that direction. Please look out for more such informational things. You can definitely do that. And if you have some doubts and if you want to connect with Megha, you can reach out to her on LinkedIn. I will put her LinkedIn link in the description box below. You can check that out. And till then, take care. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.